I'm Ashton from EventChain for Investment Pitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Jacob Gadikian, the founder of Tachyon Protocol. Jacob, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Hey, thank you, Ashton. It's really great to be on your show today.
Yeah, likewise. Great having you. I'd love if you could kick off the interview by explaining a little bit of the background issues that you saw throughout the blockchain industry and the security industry and how that led to you starting the Tachyon Protocol.
Sure. So it's kind of interesting that Tachyon itself does not actually solve any blockchain problems. That's kind of been abstracted out. It does introduce a novel high-speed payments feature. The payments in Tachyon are actually streamed in real time. And that, initially was not possible. In fact, we built a prototype in Solidity for Tachyon and found that it just wasn't going to work on Ethereum. It wasn't going to be fast enough. We ended up partnering with vSystems, and what vSystems did is actually created a new payment channel mechanism called Portal, which enables instant payments from stores of value that are kept on chain that can be claimed by the recipient at any time. So most of our, blockchain engineering actually comes from the vSystems side and was really enhanced by the Portal product. Now, on the side of security, Tachyon, probably the biggest single problem that we're solving is the fact that most VPNs at present actually have a threat model of the VPN provider versus the user. So the VPN provider is a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that VPN provider can be compelled into giving up information on its users. And we basically eliminate that piece of the threat. Tachyon itself does not operate any Tachyon nodes, and instead, thousands of node operators, although currently it's more like about 50 node operators, run the infrastructure for the network. So there's a lower threat to the user. And then on the business side of things, Tachyon is also more competitive because of its decentralized nature. Node operators build relationships with users and can establish, their own brand in the ecosystem. And basically, what we have is this payment technology that makes it very, very easy for them to accept payments in real time.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So we've touched on a few different things here. There's the VPN, there's payments, and now we're talking about, data of users of the internet and the way that they're experiencing the internet, having to go through VPNs and having their data or their information with regards to their use of the internet sort of at the mercy of more centralized VPNs, and it can get very technical with all these little different pieces. So I want to just take a step back real quick and talk about, what this whole thing is. And it seems that it's almost like a decentralized internet protocol. As you say, VPNs right now, they seem to be they're getting very popular, but for the most part, it was for power users of the internet, people who really cared about their personal privacy. Can you talk about, as Tachyon continues to grow and, what this decentralized internet, as that continues to grow, how will that change the way that people browse the internet and, put out their information on the internet as well?
Sure. So this kind of ties into something that I wanted to discuss at a later point as well, but I'll kind of bring it up now. So the Tachyon network is building a distributed compute system that, for all intents and purposes, is currently being fueled by the vast demand for VPN services. So when a node operator puts up a provider node that sells services to users, it also joins what's called a DHT, a distributed hash table. And this DHT, coupled with the encryption parts of the Tachyon protocol, allow machines on the Tachyon network to actually talk to one another and provide coordinated services. So in terms of how this is going to change the way that people, use the internet, well, in the very near term, right, they might be installing an app on their phone or their computer. We've had huge success with that. We've had 300,000 downloads so far, which keeps their traffic private. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the longer term, the same nodes that fuel that app are also going to fuel other services. Distributed compute is one of those. Another one would be distributed storage. So for a user who is publishing, in the future, the Tachyon network will be actually an option for their content storage needs. So that's part of how it is going to affect user experience. Maybe another thing is that we increase privacy, not only on the user level. We have a very, very strong encryption protocol that keeps communication secure between users and also between nodes. So nodes on the Tachyon network that are running the Tachyon software can effectively collaborate in complete privacy. And they're also anonymous. Node operators can choose to reveal themselves or not. The branding is really up to them.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that, kind of a byproduct of what we're doing is this massive distributed computation grid. And our
Mm-hmm.
current strategy is just to fuel that with as many VPN customers as possible.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And with this Tachyon network, to use the Tachyon VPN services, do those customers need to be run node, or do they have to have any technical experience to be able to utilize the benefits of the Tachyon VPN?
That's a great question. So users do not need to be running a node. In fact, right now, in our, say, like alpha stage, Tachyon is free. Anybody can go to the Google Play Store or the iPhone App Store, and they can download Tachyon to their device and use it. And in terms of running a node, I guess I should touch on that just a little bit. We actually have a piece of software called the Node Manager that runs on Mac computers. And the way you join the node network is you load up the Node Manager, run a script on a Linux server of your choice, and then that machine is then enrolled in the network. But certainly, end users do not need to run a node at all.
That's great to know, and that obviously is going to lower the barriers to entry and shows why you have so much growth so far. Now you touched on the node part and the fact that you can do staking on these nodes. Can you talk a little bit about the network, its consensus mechanism, and then how people can stake and contribute to the network?
Absolutely. So staking is going to go live later this month, and one thing that I should actually let you know is since Tachyon does not actually have its own blockchain, while we do use proof of stake for security reasons, right? There is no consensus mechanism in Tachyon. The nodes do not actually have to come to agreement on any set of facts. What the staking is there for is to ensure that entrants into the network are honest and also to get access to the services of the app and marketplace. So once a user has staked on a node, they are able to earn session fees. So they also earn from staking, but the session fees are really maybe I'll include a little anecdote here. I've been testing placing nodes in different places and learning about the ideal strategy for that, right? Like, so at which hosting provider, what should the bandwidth levels be like? What type of computer do you need? And I was able to optimize that by 20x. I started on very cheap VPSs, and eventually I reached a level where I was breaking 1 terabyte per month on those VPSs, which was my limit. There were $5 a month VPSs, and I could only use 1 terabyte per month. And then I moved to a data center that I'd done a lot of research on. They're called Hetzner, and they have very good internet peering. What that means is they're highly connected to the rest of the internet. They spent a lot of money bringing in fiber optic cables and really optimizing their networks. And I went from serving 1 terabyte in a month to about 1 terabyte in a day. So when touching on the issue of session fees, it is not, in staking, right? It's like a level payment, right? If we look at, say, the Cosmos network or even the V Systems network itself, right? You would get a fixed amount for your staking for providing security. On that level, Tachyon is exactly the same. On the level of session fees or session rewards, where you're being paid for internet traffic, okay? You actually get paid in 5 megabyte blocks in real time by the user. On that level, running a node is a little bit more like a service provider, and nodes that are well placed will do extremely well. It's mostly about optimizing to be able to cover as many customers as possible.
That's great. And that leads me to the next question about, this difference between the decentralized internet protocol of the future and the way that ISPs and centralized servers sort of control the internet right now. As Tachyon continues to grow and people use this as a method of accessing the internet, is it true that certain ISPs will not be able to stop you from accessing the internet and free flowing to whatever part of the internet you would like?
That's absolutely correct. Your internet service provider would not be able to block content because they can't actually see what's in your traffic when you're using Tachyon. Tachyon has, first of all, encryption to shield your traffic, but then also the ability to shape your traffic as other protocols. So, for example, if you wanted to visit a website using the HTTP protocol, Tachyon can make that look like it's SMTP, email. And there are a number of tools built into Tachyon to make it very difficult for your ISP to block your access to anything and also to surveil it.
Wow. And you also, as you mentioned, there's many tools in there, and there's also an IPX wallet, and you touched on this at the very beginning, but I do want to get to it before the interview's over, about the payment solution, payment systems. Integrated into this decentralized internet protocol, you have a full payment network, an identification network. Can you touch on the IPX wallet, the IPX token, the currencies, and how that functions throughout the network as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So integrating that wallet was kind of one of the key pieces of building Tachyon, and that'll go live when the portal payment channel system goes live on V Systems, enabling the streaming real-time payments. And what it does, right, is when you open up the Tachyon app and begin to use bandwidth, those payments occur instantly. So that you only pay for what you use as a user, and as a node operator, you're always getting paid for traffic that's been used. So it is a really interesting and novel solution to payments. Far as I know, we're going to be the first live product featuring high volume streaming real-time payments. There have been some other attempts, for example, on the Lightning Network. However, the portal system is actually much simpler. The Lightning Network requires a lot of additional infrastructure, and users sometimes even need to run nodes, whereas Portal actually just exists in smart contracts on the vSystem blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a bit about the wallet in the app. And additionally, just kind of while we're on this topic, anybody with IPX on their wallet is actually going to be able to very shortly sign up for staking at Tachyon.eco and actually begin sponsoring node operators immediately. So that's another
Yeah, that's great.
upcoming
And
thing.
I was just going to ask you, you have so many updates that are coming out in the near future here with the development. What are the milestones that users have to look forward to?
Okay, so milestones. All right. Probably the first and current largest is the launch of staking about the end of this month. What that's going to do is it's going to bring the incentive system online for the node operators. And, we expect that given that user growth has been far larger than we expected, actually. Like we've been amazed since we launched the software. First it was a couple hundred, then it was thousands, and now it's 300,000 downloads of the app. And if the current growth rate continues, we're on track for 1 million sometime in June. And as that's going, right, the next technical milestone is actually going to be the launch of Portal on the vSystems platform and the ability of users to begin paying node operators. So that will happen late summer. And what that's going to do is just further enhance the ecosystem. And of course, the folks who have begun staking now are going to be really well positioned kind of to be service providers. Later on, there are going to be a few performance and security enhancements. So currently, when a Tachyon user connects to a Tachyon node, they are in a one-to-one relationship with them, meaning that the traffic is just moving from user to node. And we always thought that it would be more ideal to add kind of like a multi-path routing setup. That will be coming online later this year. And what that will actually do is ensure that as a user, your traffic does not always come out of the same endpoint. Basically makes you harder to track. Makes it a lot more private.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of great updates coming. I'm looking forward to seeing the staking and the portal released. For the viewers, what's the best way for them to follow along with Tachyon's updates and get involved with the community?
So, our website is tachyon.eco, and they can go there. But actually, probably the best way that they can begin to get involved is to download the app on their phone or their desktop computer and try it out. And, then if they go to the website, there are also links to Telegram and Medium and Twitter, and, they can check it out and engage with us. If they're interested in running a node, and I should say we're definitely, looking for node operators who I would say that these are generally people with at least a little Linux experience. They're looking to actually run a node. They can also contact me at Gadikian on Twitter. And I'm personally, helping people to set up nodes. That's at Gadikian. And lastly, if they are looking to sponsor nodes and capture session rewards, they should head on over to the website and look for details on the staking, which will be out shortly.
Great. Very exciting. I will leave those links in the description box below for the viewers. Jacob, thank you so much for taking the time to go through Tachyon with us. the growth has been great so far, and I wish you all the best in moving forward with this project, and let's follow up in the near future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.